I love video games. I especially love video game systems. More than anything, I really love video games with lots of interesting video game systems. So naturally, I love immersive sims. Hello everyone, I'm Austin, one of the game developers in our system. We want to make an Imsim add-on for Godot. It won't be an asset pack, it'll be a pack of systems, components, and boilerplate code that you can use to assemble an immersive sim quickly and with plenty of flexibility. We want it to be approachable enough to help with prototyping, but sturdy and extensible enough to stay as the foundation for a finished project. The common theme running through all immersive sim systems is interaction. Ultimately, the promise of a good Imsim is that you have a lot of ways to interact with the world, and the world has a lot of ways to interact with itself. Arx Fatalis has several cute world interactions, the most well-known being the ability to cook raw food by placing it near a heat source. In addition, there are more rigid interactions, like using bottles on a brewing stand to finish brewing a potion. The main issue with the interactions in Arx Fatalis is their limited scope. Some interactions, such as with water, can only be done with bespoke objects in the world like troughs and basins, while rivers and lakes have no interactivity. Prey has a special weapon, the Boltcaster. Though it's somewhat underused, the magic of the Boltcaster is that it can touch buttons and screens from a distance, but with imprecision and slow speed. It enhances puzzle solving and stealth, but with a little more inspiration from Dark Messiah, it could be leveraged in combat type scenarios too. In Dark Messiah, there are many opportunities for creatively disposing of enemies, both up close and discreetly from far away. Firing an arrow or spell at fragile scenery can let loose hazards or take safe ground out from under enemies. In a more sci-fi setting, maybe that could have included door locks, air pressure and vacuum, or fanciful chemical hazards. Dark Messiah is full of conspicuous spike racks and flimsy shelving everywhere, largely due to rushed schedules and technical difficulties, limiting the ability of level designers and engine programmers to come up with and implement more creative opportunities. Bethesda's Elder Scrolls games have an alchemy system based on stacking ingredient effects to select which effects end up in the resulting potion. Personally, I would like to see the system expanded such that certain effects would combine to make new effects, or effects could be meta tags that make the potion act over time or affect allies, for example. There are two key systems I want to implement to cover the needs of most Imsims. A tagging system that enables objects to interact in dynamic and meaningful ways, and a player interaction system that decouples the method of interaction from the resulting actions. Tags are defined by the developer and can include attached data, as an example, a heat tag that includes the temperature in degrees. Once tags are defined, interactions can be configured, so a meltable tag compares its temperature to the heat tag, and if it's hot enough, it emits a melted signal. Player interactions with the world can be broken down into two parts: the thing the player touches, and the thing the world changes. The player might turn a wheel, and the world, in turn, might lower a drawbridge. But maybe instead of a wheel, it should be a slider. Maybe instead of a drawbridge, it should be an exploding wall. When the player interacts with a dial or wheel, they should have options. Ideally, they should have some fine control, like the ability to turn it at their own pace, or leave it at a halfway point, or utilize the assistance of some physics props. It would also make a lot of sense to give the world some agency, allow the output to feed back to the input, so a drawbridge can fall back down if it's not pulled all the way up. There are some less critical systems that I also want to include, but some of them are likely to be cut for time and scope. One huge system that I might end up omitting is a gameplay ability system. To put it simply, this is an extensible system that automatically adjusts stats, executes ongoing tasks, and tracks timers as a potion or debuff might provide. The primary reason I might consider this optional is because it's more part of an RPG system set, and as such might be better provided by another pack. Entities in video games tend to be able to see and hear things, especially when they're supposed to seek out and interact with the player and the environment. If possible, I want the pack to provide entity sensing systems, since almost any Imsim is going to need smart enemies and creatures that can be aware of the world around them. A flexible inventory system, or at least a framework for items, would save a lot of repeated work and make the other systems easier to integrate in the resulting games. There won't be anything complex like spatial grid-based inventories, just some framework elements for items and containers that hold them. A flexible character controller is crucial for any good Imsim, and there are some movement options frequently used by most Imsims, like crouching, sliding, and mantling. I'm sure there are other pre-made character controllers available that could cover these use cases, but having one ready to go and with Imsim interactions in mind would be pretty useful in an Imsim pack. So basically, those are my plans for this toolkit. I want to build something that makes it easy to prototype, but something that can be used long term as well. The toolkit will definitely involve a tagging system that allows for dynamic interactions between objects, and an interaction system to simplify the process of setting up doors, buttons, levers, and other ways for the player to interact with the world. And there are obviously some additional things that I'd like to include if I could. With all that said, I would like to hear your feedback. I want to know 3 different things, and if you have thoughts on them, comment them down below. Firstly, I want to hear your thoughts on the ways that I intend to implement these systems, and things that you think I should look out for, consider, or try and avoid when doing this development, especially if you're someone who already uses these systems and knows what the pitfalls are. Secondly, I want to know if there are any important systems that I've left out that you think would be really helpful for someone developing an immersive sim. Keep in mind, I'm not trying to make this all-encompassing. I'm trying to make the most basic, common, repeated tasks a lot simpler to do. I'm not trying to cover all needs that any Imsim could have. There are too many variables, too many different approaches. And lastly, I want to know what you would do with this toolkit. Are you already making an immersive sim? How would this help you? Are you making a different game that would benefit from this? Please, tell me all about it in the comments below. I want to make this toolkit as useful as it can be, and that starts with knowing what the challenges even are. And while I have some idea, I'm not an immersive sim developer, so if you are, then share your experience with me. This first devlog took quite a while to make, a lot longer than I expected, mostly because I had to develop a lot of brand new assets, capture footage to show off examples, and really drill down to what I wanted to express in this script. Future devlogs should be a lot less involved, a lot less editing, and a lot more just going over what happened. That said, the first devlog or 2 will probably take longer than a month, partly because I need to get into my groove with editing, and partly because I do just want to take a break and work on something a little small, a little fun, a little trivial. So, you can expect devlog episode 1 to come out hopefully in about 2 months, maybe 3. The one after that might take about the same time, maybe a little less, but I intend to settle into a monthly routine. This is kind of a new experience for me because previously I've had unmedicated ADHD, and now I'm trying to figure out how much I can actually do while medicated. Because as much as the ADHD is gone, I have some other issues that make it harder to keep up with regular updates. So, if you want to keep up with the progress and get an idea of what's happening as it happens, make sure to subscribe. And I'll have something else for you before too long. See you then.